Just letting you all know, I've put Oliver down for Carol's son's name because that is now what he's called. What does everybody think of that name? I like it. And I've updated the character sheets on our Trello as well. So if you have a peek, you'll get to see that we've got a long list now of characters to get done. So all going well, I'll start ticking some of those off this week. And what else? Is there anything else I need to add? Oh yes, yesterday's stream we were talking about plot, weren't we? So I've kind of just changed the wording of some of this. Had a think about some things, so I'm going to discuss those first before we start doing the dialogue. Tuesday's pretty good so far. Got some coffee, so no complaints. Yay, coffee hype. Who? I had got poured some of the last of my Christmas alcohol, but there was like that much. It's all gone already. I only had one mouthful before it was gone. Well, okay, so thank you, Zexy, for that super long, insightful post that you posted earlier in the discussion channel, by the way. It's all really interesting. I'm not very knowledgeable about some of this stuff, so it's always good to learn. I was having a think as well actually last night about how we could deal with things, and I think it's probably best to just like keep things as simple as possible when it comes to currencies, just so the player doesn't get confused. And yeah, the kind of aim would be to just let them have access to raindrops, you know, like let us as the player have raindrops as our actual currency without any extra complications. But I was thinking, how could, you know, that makes sense because we kind of said that the X is destroyed upon contact with anything that is a special container, but you know, we could, once they go through the process at the banks, it could be like a sort of preservation process, and once it's gone through that process, it's there, the element is there forever kind of thing. I think that could be the most simple way to handle it, and once it's been there, it's kind of confirmed, it's gone through all the proper checks, it's proper official raindrop, so the public can have access to it from that point on. So that's kind of how I think it could just be kept simple. I mean, that wouldn't even need to be explained. I think that sort of thing is straightforward enough. And if anyone does ask and is like, well, why, like, because that question did get asked yesterday, I'll just be like, well, because once they've been at the bank, then the X is there forever then, and it will always be valuable. It's only before it goes through those special containers that it's not valuable, it gets destroyed, if that makes sense. Okay, so, and other than that, we were working on the flashback. We had like a couple of ideas about Rose being on the cart, and we also thought that she could attack the hijackers as well. That was another option. And I liked both. I liked her being on the cart because it would get her involved with the barrels, and there would be a few little bits of lore about the barrels introduced in that scene. But I was thinking, like, maybe it's best that she's not on the cart now, and I'm kind of going with Zex's other idea now, which was that Rose attacks the hijackers, but then they capture her as a prisoner and take her with them, the hijackers do, and Carol watches that. She sees that Rose is with them, so to Carol, that is how she'd know. And when she meets Rose and the heroes, she thinks, oh, okay, she must have escaped being prisoner then, but she would know where they were taken at least. So I liked that idea, Zexy. I think it's a one way to solve Rose not having to be on the cart, because she could have just been wandering the lands when the hijacking happened, and because she kind of attacks humans now anyway, as confirmed in her character sheet, it's not like out of character for her to do something like that. You know, she needs blood, So yes, that can happen. So this green bit here, which I've made green because I'm keeping it all colour coded, is everything about Flashback. So first part is them being on the cart and having a conversation on there and just generally sitting there being all happy. No, nothing eventful happening going on in that part. And then the second box is like when it gets hijacked and when Carol rolls out the cart. And then the final part of the scene is when Rose attacks and Carol is left behind and Rose gets taken prisoner. So it kind of simplifies things a little bit, because there was discussion yesterday about having it take place over a period of days, so they get to know Rose and realise that she's feral and she's not a threat to them, which I liked as an idea, but I think we can go this way as well, and I think I like that too. So what do you think, guys? So other than that, everything is more or less the same as it was yesterday, and I just changed around the layout a bit, and I've made the arrows be comic as well. There's a tick here called comic, and I was like, what's that? And I ticked and it makes the arrows all like squiggly and interesting, and I prefer the arrows like that, because one problem I've had when they're super straight, they like go funny a lot and it bugs me, so having it as comic style just stops my weird getting bothered by the arrow being slightly wonky sometimes. So I've also got this tab up, the dialogue one, so we'll keep the notes up and the timeline bit, I think, because we can refer to it, but we'll also have this on another tab. So what I'm actually hoping to do is having all the dialogue on one big sheet. Well, not necessarily all the dialogue in episode 1, because that would be a bit much, but perhaps break it into parts, like all of main quest 1 and 2 and all on one big sheet, rather than have all the scenes separately. So I've put these two together. This part is when the hero meets Carol, and then Carol joins the party, this particular conversation here. So we'll probably should label that, because then it'll be easy for us over time as we start getting more conversations. We won't get confused then. So I've got the episode 1 scene order here. Obviously we'll have more. There's going to be more than just these scenes in episode 1. So I'm going to put so far. And that way we can keep all organised with it. And the one down here is the Fiona Buckington conversation. I think I should change little sister to Fiona, because we do know her name actually, but we can do that at another point. So that's that part, number 4. And I think there's a part of that conversation that I need to add as well. So there's a few little bits that are missing, but it'll be great to have them all there together, so we can refer to everything easy. Hi Rod and Storm, how are you doing today? Storm, I saw your character sheet, looking cool. I like it. So I've added you to our Trello page as well, Storm Eagle, for character sheets to get done. I'm excited. And how are you doing, Rod, as well? Are you having a good day? Master Emerald, how are you doing? Be warned that web app can get laggy if you put too much on the diagram. I had to split up my stuff after all. Oh really, Master Emerald? How much would you say, at what point would you say it starts to get laggy? Yeah, that's silly, but I think we could probably at least fit a bit more on here. As soon as we start getting laggy, we'll think about splitting it then. But I do think it's so much easier to have it all on one big thing. But yeah, it would be too good to be true, wouldn't it? But yeah, it's all okay at the moment anyway. We'll just have to, we'll definitely have to split it if that ends up happening. Hope you're doing well, Master Emerald. How is your day going today? Okay, so we're going to be working on the flashback scene today, and we do have other scenes as well. We've got the Carol and Rose conversation before the flashback and also the one that comes after the flashback. So it wouldn't hurt to like start those scenes. I feel like we should just go with wherever our inspiration takes us today. It's more about making a start and considering what the dialogue could be today, just like a very rough first draft. And we can spend the rest of the week polishing it probably, and then next week begin the scene. If we're at a good point, no pressure. What do you think about the flashback happening with the hijack having already taken place? The barrels can be talking about how they've been stolen, etc. Then Rose attacks, and when that happens, the commotion causes Carol to fall out. Or do you prefer to show the hijacking? Let me read that again, Zexy, just so I can understand it properly. The barrels can be talking about how they've been stolen, and Rose attacks them, and when that happens, the commotion causes Carol to fall off. Well, I imagined that before the hijacking, when everything was peaceful, they're having a bit of banter together, and the hijacking happens right after that, and then we see the aftermath of the hijacking, and then the flashback ends, sort of thing. So, is that what you mean, Zexy? I'm just wondering if I'm understanding it properly. I'm probably not. Wanted to stop in for a minute and see how you were. Hope you have a good day. Stay warm. Thank you, Red. I've got a fluffy onesie here, so that's going to be keeping me warm. Fluffy pink onesie. Because it is January now, so it's cold. But yes, a lot of today as well, discussion will be sort of what is happening in the flashback, like thinking of the sequence of events, which I know that we've kind of done here, but just further expanding on that today as well will be a good idea. So which I believe Zex is coming up with some ideas for that. I just want to hopefully get it. Okay, I see what you're going for. The way you've got it structured is better for sure. Yeah, it's hard to like imagine or picture right now exactly how it's all gonna work as a scene, the hijacking, but the scene and creation and stuff will come after we've got a dialogue and event sequence plan on here. But if we have to like change things, if things are a bit hard to get working in RPG Maker, that's not a problem either, but we'll just do whatever we think will be cool when we do all this conversation and planning. And yeah, no problem if we have to switch things around either, if we feel something will be better. Okay, so right, so I'm gonna copy this blue bit. I'm kind of using blue boxes for actions, like descriptions of what's happening in the scene, basically the blue boxes, and the white box is the dialogue. And I'm using the yellow boxes for if a choice was made. But there's not going to be any choices in this scene because the hero's not around, the custom hero's not here, so it's literally just observing a flashback. Okie doke. I had about 5 long scenes before I had trouble, but mine was very dialogue and action heavy due to visual novelness, so you might be able to get more before you start to have problems with lag. Also depends on your internet, I suppose. Oh, well, I'm glad you've warned me, Master Emerald, because I can be prepared for that now, so thank you. And hi Fantasia, how you doing? It's good to see you. But yeah, we'll just do as much as we can until the lag begins, and then once we get lag we'll think about getting these scenes broken, split into different sections, and as long as we can fit like a decent amount, that'll be cool, because before we only like literally had this on one sheet and that's not much. Okay, so how are we gonna label this one? Probably flashback begins. So what have we got here? Carol and her companions are on a cart on the road. So if we want to further describe the scene, we can always write more in that box as well. If we want to describe how the scene should look, that is fine as well. And now from this point on, we can actually begin the conversation, like who's going to speak first, what sort of banter is there going to be. I'm going to refer to my notes as well, because I've probably got a few notes of dialogue ideas people have had in previous streams, so we'll look at those for some inspiration. But also, actually, what I am going to do is move this down here. Carol, okay. So this would be after locking main quest to the sacrifice. Which I think is literally, yeah, unlocked main quest 2. So after this dialogue conversation, that's when Rose joins the party. This particular conversation will end up happening, but I'm not sure where in the Everbloom Forest or what map it'll happen on yet. That is something we'll have to decide as well. So this scene here is basically what we've got written here. Number 5, Carol, the Barrel and Rose pre-flashback. So this is the scene that happens just before the flashback takes place, because we've got to have the build up to it, and then the flashback here, and then we'll have another scene where it returns to Carol in the present day and the hero just discussing the flashback a bit more. And then we'll meet the fruits and have the first boss. That is the plan. Okay, so I think I wrote a few notes here. Let me find them. Hi Neffel, how you doing? It's good to see you. I got your character sheet, Neffel. Thanks for filling it in. Hi Legmog as well. How are you? Who knows who chose the red rose? Oh, nice poem. Let's find out. I'm still waiting for that video, Legmog. Maybe view this as a sort of outline, figure what we want them to talk about, what kind of banter we want and from whom, then expand on that outline with the actual dialogue. Good idea. I mean, it can be a little bit overwhelming to think, okay, what exactly is Woody going to say right now? It can be a bit challenging, so maybe just writing some rough little notes around the area that we can just keep temporary boxes will work, but then we can, whenever inspiration strikes us, we can write a dialogue box. So what do you think about it? Is it okay? Yes, I love that it's got a pig head. Pig man, I'm a big fan of pigs, so I'm excited, Neffel. I'm excited to do all your character sheets. Hi Van, how are you doing? Working and lurking. Thank you for the work, Lurk Van. How's it going? And thank you for that follow as well, Blee. Oh, and where's this info to the forms for the character sheets again? Okay, folks. Apparently, one of the links to the information and FAQ pages broke, but this one here, that link tree link, if you click the very top link on there, that should take you to the information FAQ page and it'll be fine. And as soon as you're on that, the very top link, you'll get it. You'll see straight away, because the character sheet's the first thing it talks about on that link. So, like, I know I want Tavia to say something snide about the oil drum and Meryl to say something back. Same here, Zexy, as well. So, what we will do, I mean, we don't have to work on the pre-flashback conversation yet, but I want it here, so it's there. If anybody does think of anything cool for that particular conversation, I'll like to add something to that one as well. So, for rough notes, I'm gonna... What colour should we give that? So we're using blue for scene descriptions. We're using yellow for choices. Yeah, we use this one. Don't think we're using this colour yet. So we're going to say Elvira can say something snide about the oil drum. Meryl's boyfriend in brackets, and Meryl says something back. So whether that's going to happen near the start, middle or end of their conversation just before the hijacking, we don't know at this point. So I'm literally going to put these little notes at the top, guys. So if we get more, I'll just put them beside each other right here. Just so we can see what we have to cover exactly. What do you reckon? Do you think that's a good idea, folks? Thank you, Todd Cott, for the follow. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? My goodness, Fantasia, look at all those raindrops. Okay. Let's just have a quick look at some of our notes. Let me remember if anybody had cool ideas. I know that was one. I'm sure there was more. Do you guys want me to do you want to be able to see the character descriptions? Because you might have forgot who the characters are. Let's go get them up. So I'm thinking of temporarily just sticking these guys. Ooh, where are we? Where did this copy and paste to? Oh, miles away. I'm thinking of just sticking them here so you all can read their descriptions, just because this scene is focused on them. There we go. That's it. I think we can all see that, can't we? Can we just hide the guides for now? There we go. Just have it like that for now so we don't see that silly line. Okay. Doing good. Saw the stream, so I decided to join. What is that? Why does that barrel have bras? Because we're very silly, aren't we? And we have a bunch of wacky characters. That's probably the best way to sum it up. There might be a reason why there's a bra in it, but that can still get fleshed out. Somebody last week suggested that some naughty children put the bra on the barrel before it was sentient. So that could be a reason, but maybe Meryl demanded she have it on. We don't know yet, but welcome. Also, how do they move around? They hop. They like sort of bounce. So they don't have legs. Okay. Right. Have we got any more info? Oliver is so cute. He is. He's adorable, isn't he? Is he your favourite one, Squirrels? Maybe you have small feet. So I guess like if you didn't have legs, you would get by somehow. Perhaps you'd hop. It's hard to imagine unless you're a barrel yourself. So for the pre-flashback conversation, do you imagine Carol starting by directly talking to Rose, or do you think she talks to the hero first to make sure she has his support before confronting Rose? That's interesting. What I imagined, which she would say something like this. Let's start here. But maybe there's another way to do it too, and I'm always up for hearing ideas because that's what's going to make it awesome. And at this point, she still isn't known as Carol. I'm feeling like the flashback will make the player realise her name's Carol. Okay, so I was gonna make Carol demand something to Rose. Like she wants to look at her face. I was gonna have her say something horrible as well, like refer to her as a nasty name. But not something offensive, but something that would fit. But something that kind of is offensive because Carol's mean. So, but that is one thing. Maybe Carol would already know that it's definitely the right person, so she wouldn't have to demand that she looks at her. But what could happen after that is that Rose is just like, obviously like ... because she doesn't speak, but she'd have a kind of expression on her face that looks a bit guilty, or could be anything. And then Carol could be like, I knew it. But I'm going to read chat, and obviously if you guys have any ways to expand on this or alter it, that is awesome. And Rose would be like, oh. And then after that point, Carol, in my mind, I'd imagine she'd call the hero then and be like, oi, flashback. I was going to say I've seen her before, but Rose isn't really referred to as a her because she's considered an it. So I just said that for now, but I'm still hoping we can think of a good name Carol can call Rose that will stick. Okay, so let's catch up. They slither around like snakes. A barrel and snake hybrid, that would be frightening. I like that. That's a good starting point. Okay, so is that, do we do actions with the, yeah we do, because we did asterisks there. So yeah, she faces the hero. And at that point, the hero could be like, I suppose we could have a choice, because in our game, the hero only talks when there's a different choice. Well, you know, 2 pieces of dialogue we can choose between. So we might have to consider that. Something similar to here, because you get like trait points in our game, plus to compassion, bravery and wisdom. So usually when the hero does speak, it's something that's going to affect these points. So I'm thinking it will probably be something that it'll have to be something that relates to those. Right, so we usually label our boxes as well, just so you guys can refer to which box we mean easier when we're talking about one in particular. But let's just get the arrows there. So that's probably, other than that, how could this conversation go? There could just be a bit more banter to show off Carol's hostility, perhaps, before the hero demands to listen to more. But eventually he gets fed up of hearing it, so he asks, or you ask as a player. I still like cruncher as a word for vamps. Let's see if that's got a ring to it. Stand still and look at me, cruncher. It works. I'm also gonna do this then. Put down here. Oh, we were gonna use red, weren't we, for ideas? So okay, so we've all got Zex's idea, cruncher. If it works, if it like doesn't sound natural, then probably not. But if something does fit, then totally. Half barrel, half snake hybrid sounds like a boss monster. Yeah, that would totally happen if somebody invented a barrel and it was no longer a barrel. It sounds creepy though. How did you settle on barrels for cats? I can't panic. It was community bouncing off ideas, and it happened. We have a lot that happens a lot in these streams. We end up with some really creative ideas from just discussing things. Maybe have Rose shift around, uncomfortable with the sudden loud noise from Carol shouting. Oh yeah. Okay, so body language is important here. Maybe we should put in this one, shifts around. Hopefully that will sum it up. Yeah, we don't have to put the periods, I don't think. I think because Rose doesn't really talk, I know that we'll have a box come up that shows her avatar showing the facial expressions, so either she'll do ... or make a sort of animal sound, or a hiss or something. Maybe jump from being surprised. I think I could imagine Carol jumping at this moment, actually. At the point where she's like, I knew it. What do you guys think? But maybe not. But maybe. Who knows? I said that for leg fog. Hi officer, hello newbie here, well to the stream. Is that the famous RPG maker? Only heard of it, never actually seen it. It is, officer. Welcome to the stream. I've got a program command. It'll tell you about RPG Maker if you're interested, but welcome. It's good to meet you. And Zexy said, then have Carol be a bit more somber, like instead of I knew it, have her kind of whisper, is it you, in a spicy tone. Then a moment later, all her spunk comes back and she yells for the hero. Oh, that's good. I like that, Zexy. Oh gosh, I'm going to do a big burp. The hero could have an option to either correct the mean word or allow it. Oh, good idea. So when we decide on what our mean word is going to be, well, at this point, actually, I think having the hero speak will be ideal because we'll need him to, because the conversation is kind of up to him at this point. We could have the option then where he's like, he could even say something like, stop calling me Flashback, or he could say, don't call her that. Don't call her Cruncher, or don't call me Flashback. And you can it kind of tests you as the player whether you're selfish and you care about you being called a name, or whether you care about other people being called names, you know. So you'd probably get the compassion point if you cared more about Rose, you know. What do you reckon? That could be a way to handle it, whether you care who you care about being called the name the most. The hero could have an option. Yeah, I've already read that bit. Okay, so let's change this dialogue bit. Is it you? So what would Carol be feeling emotionally, and what would her body language show at this point? She's probably showing her vulnerability a bit more here, but then she like covers it up again by having that attitude at this point. It's like with Carol's character, like we've got here that she's a hostile barrel who behaves harshly to others but has a secret softer side. It's like she doesn't want that softer side to be seen, and if it ever did come out just slightly, she'll be hostile again to cover it up. I mean, quite as fast as possible for Carol. She don't want anyone knowing that. Yeah, okay, a jump to go along with the I knew it is a really good idea. Or is it you? The jump could go with that as well. And I prefer is it you now as well. Just to give Carol some more layers. Jumps in surprise. Is it you? Oh, is it? RPG Maker games are never getting old. Is that Diva best emote? It is, isn't it, Neffel? Definitely is. It is a good emote. The straight up looks like one of those RPG Maker games by Japanese people. I don't understand what you mean, Cop. I think don't be so rude. She's helping us. She has a name, even if we don't know it. Don't call her a cruncher or I'm not a flashback. If you're going to be rude, why should I even keep you with me? Or yeah, what do you want? And he uses his own insult back. Okay, let's get that something like that written up then, Zexy. And I think it's definitely interesting to have that, because they contrast quite a lot with each other. One is sticking up for Rose and the other's sticking up for himself. And it'll kind of shape the hero quite a bit, just that simple dialogue choice. Okay, so here we go. How have we done it before? Okay, so let's copy these just for easiness. Okay, we'll decide on the points after, once we've actually written the dialogue. For that one anyway. We'll probably get the +1 compassion for the other idea though. Okay, so the bit where it says she's been helping us, it could be technically true at this point because she'll have helped us fight monsters in battle, but it also might not have, because it might the event and conversation could have triggered before you've had chance to fight anything with Rose if it triggers early. So we could talk about it as if she's gonna help us fight. I know she will help. Hang on, let me think. She is a name even if we don't know. We don't necessarily even have to have that bit there. But we'll see. She has a name. Oh, we do know it. It's Rose, because she's been introduced to us by Fiona at this point. So she has a name. Don't call her a cruncher. Oh, I'm not a flashback. Okay, so we can tidy it up after if we feel that something needs tidying. But okay, and the other one is I'm not a flashback. Well, you kind of are a flashback though. If you're going to be rude, why should I even keep you with me? Hi Liquid, how you doing? So basically an option to stick up for Rose, an option stick up for himself, and an option to tease Carol back. That's what I'm thinking at least. Awesome. I think that sounds ideal. I guess it's just thinking how these points will work with each of those options: compassion, wisdom and bravery. We don't have to have one of each, you know. It doesn't have to be that structured. We can have one. We can have it just be compassion related, or you know, can be anything. So is Draw.ai specifically designed for flow charting, or is it an art program you're using for your flow charting? Oh, it is a program. I believe it's for flow charting mainly. I think that is kind of what it's for. That's kind of why we got these shapes here. Somebody recommended it actually, and I was like, okay, I'll try this one out, and it was pretty decent, so it's doing the job. $2D game or a written game? What's a written game? Just need you to be a little bit more specific so I can answer the question properly. Okay, so and what was the other idea? I've seen this one before. Okay, so yeah, what were some barrel insults we had? I'm going to just look at my notepad file. And if he does do that, I'd imagine we'd lose compassion. And I'm not actually sure with that one if anything would be gained. I feel like this one needs a slight edit though. It can work for sure, him sticking up for Red, but we need to make sure he refers to that bit, because there's been a bit of conversation since, so We'll have to refer back to what she said there, maybe. Right. Text-based adventure games, they're not as common, but they were popular in the 80s for a bit. This is an RPG game, guys. Like, we have social medias showing stuff off. We have YouTube with all the VODs. And we have a story so far video. So just have a look into it and all your questions will be answered. Right. I love text RPGs. I feel like I can imagine the story so much better. Yeah, I don't know whether this would be classed as an text-based adventure game. No, just a normal RPG, really. She was picturing it as him playing along with her insults and teasing her back. Sort of viewed it as a flirt with Carol option. Oh yeah, the romance option. Oh right, I saw it as being mean, but you're actually seeing it as a flirt thing. That's interesting. We might have to start labelling romance points as well if we start doing that. But actually, the romance thing wouldn't have unlocked yet. But there's no reason why we can't gain points behind the scenes before it unlocks the feature. So when it does unlock, if you have been flirting with Carol, then you'll get those points and you'll realise that your relationship with her has bumped up a bit, if that makes sense. So, okay. She was working on artwork for some characters last week. Yeah, it was. These guys down here. We were spending time doing the assets last week. I save all the VODs, everybody. So, if you are super interested in what we've been doing in previous streams, then have a little peep, because that will show you all the kinds of stuff we do here. Today in particular, and probably for the rest of this week, it is very much focused on dialogue this time, because we've got some scenes to make. And our RPG is very story focused. It's a very story focused one, so this is kind of going to be something we do often. Right, so let's make sure we should we have the -1 compassion with this one then, because he is kind of being a bit, I don't know, I still don't know whether it's worth losing a compassion because he kind of just is standing up for himself. It's not too bad. I'm just going to put it there because I feel like we should let's start this so that when the romance system does unlock, we've got it there. Teases carbon so bad. We don't know right now what that insult word is going to be. So names that right, let me have a look. That was one I think somebody did suggest, because barrels kind of are empty-headed. They don't have anything there, do they? So that could be one. But I'm sure there's loads. And guys, if you do come up with some really good ideas for names Carol could call Rose, or names that the hero could call Carol, don't be shy to suggest some. And if we do get quite a lot, that's better, because more choice then, whatever will fit the most. Okay. Right, did dialogue take some time? It is a time-consuming thing. I get a lot of joy from that. That's like storytelling and stuff is probably my favourite part of doing this whole thing. The parts I don't like as much are the parts that involve maths and code. But it has to be done, because how can you make a game otherwise? I think should keep things the same. So defend Rose gives plus compassion, or defend yourself gives nothing, and flirt just gives romance, or sticking up for yourself could be, oh yeah, plus brave. Actually, that's perfect, because sticking up for yourself does mean that you're brave. So GG's Axie. So let's just read this conversation and see if it makes sense. Stand still with me. Is it you? Or flashback? Listen up. I've seen this one before. Okay, so I'm thinking we need to continue using the mean name instead of calling her this one. Because then, if we do that, it has a context when the hero says, don't be so rude, she has a name. Otherwise, if she doesn't call her a name at this particular bit, seems a little bit too late for us to stick up for Rose at that point. Right, I like how this is going right now. So, good job. Good job, me and Zexy and everybody. Good job. Okay. I was never good in writing dialogues. That's fine, Neffel. We've all got our strengths, haven't we, guys? I wouldn't particularly say I'm a writer or particularly talented at dialogue myself, but it's still something I enjoy. I think you can still enjoy something and not be incredible at it, but doing things make you get better as well. Empty-headed doesn't sound like flirting. I guess it depends on the tone, doesn't it? And I'm not saying that's going to be the best word. This kind of is just for putting anything, any idea in. I'm sure you guys can come up with better names than what that is. And empty-headed in the right context could work. But for sure it might not fit with this particular bit. But that's why we've got this box for ideas. Okay, so let's think about how we can carry on. And obviously we gotta have a good think about this as well, but no rush, guys. We're gonna spend, I mean, really the focus now is doing this. If we have a look at our list of things to work on, which is here, doing the cutscenes is literally the #1 priority right now. And I'd say once we've done cutscene A, B and C, we can revisit the fruit stuff, because cutscenes D and E will be based on the fruits. But let's get A, B and C over with first, which is all the barrel stuff. Okay, so now the conversation's progressing nicely. I guess what could happen now? I could imagine Carol at this point. Let's say the barrel. Just because she doesn't have a name yet, so it's probably better to call her the barrel. Right, so I imagine Carol would just be simply very offended because she don't like being told. She don't like somebody having attitude around her. So she's going to use the sass back. But whenever is Carol not sassy, she always is. Now, what she has to say has to ideally fit with all the responses. I mean, there's nothing wrong with her saying different things based on each of the ones, but it could also work well if what she says fits with them all. but it doesn't have to. We just need to make sure the conversation flows and ends up at the same point. That's the main priority. Then each of these 3 boxes should have a Rose reaction and a Carol reaction, which are unique, then merge back into one line. Yes, so if we can do that, then as long as we merge back to that conversation, yeah, that's perfect, sexy. So I think, like, because yeah, it's a flirting one that I'm wondering how she's going to respond, really. I can imagine it being the same response for these 2, because she's being called rude in both of these. Really, there's not much difference between these 2. The only difference is he's defending Rose in one and he's defending himself in the other. But the response is going to be the same. Whereas this one, we're probably going to get a very different response. Okay, so I thought of this because the hero is either a warrior or a hunter, so she could have different dialogue based on what class you are. She's got like a sort of sarcastic, sassy tone, if you get what I mean. How should we describe that? We can always edit that slightly, by the way. That's totally fine to do that, but this is just the first thing that's popped into my head. Good what you're doing, guys. Thank you, Neffel. I appreciate that. When does the explosions begin? I pertain to Michael Bay's style of writing. Hi, Hannah. Welcome to the stream. Well, have we had explosions so far? We've had punching. We had punching in the very first part of the story. There's a barrel punched a human. I'm going to give you guys the story so far so you can see. Because if you watch this video there, you'll get more of an idea of what we've got. We're going to have a hijacking as well, but I don't know if there's going to be explosions in that, but there's definitely going to be a lot of violence and blood. Okay. How dare you? This insult what there when my son was taking a single teardrop for flirting. Oh, hush, dear. Just get over here. Oh, gosh. I call them as I see them. Don't blame me. Okay, guys. Right. So I like the idea of leading it into the flashback. I'm not sure if she should be like ridiculously revealing about it immediately, because she might not want to show that vulnerability, but she definitely needs to make mention that she's going to have to refer to her past somehow so we can trigger that flashback and begin it. But I feel we should probably have still a little bit of banter going on just before that begins, maybe. Literally just a line or so. I think we need a reaction from Rose again as well. So what I'm thinking is, I think once we get that another reaction from Rose, I think we're fine then to trigger starting the flashback, because Rose has been a bit quiet. She hasn't spoken since here. So Carol could say something like, And then Rose. Angry face. Just a bit more conflict. We don't want the fun to be over too soon. We got to have the flirting line as well, so we'll put that here. Okay, so blushes. What do you mean by just get over here? That my goodness, that is taking it far, this romance. I'm a little lost. Watch video, but there's definitely a big gap. I'll catch up. Oh, is there? What have you got? Any questions, officer? I'll be happy to answer them if there's anything in particular that you're wondering about. Be sure to answer, and it'll help me too, because then I'll know if there's anything I need to talk about more in another video to help introduce people to our game. Okay. Something that needs to carry on from this bit though. We could even have it continue with like the same conversation, just her expression just a little bit different, or maybe her tone or way of saying it's just a bit softer. But yeah, it all has to lead to the same thing. Thank you for the follow, Tammy. Thank you. Welcome to the stream. I don't know why I've got them there. I kind of like the idea of having variation of dialogue now and again based on, you know, things like your class. It's just a subtle, small touch. But yeah, she's pretty angry, sassy, hostile at this point. I think with the flirting she shouldn't be too vulnerable. Maybe she does have a little bit of a blush and be like, oh hush, but she soon gets back into sassy mode. So I think something needs to be said here, and then she starts saying I'm not scared of you again. So and what after that? Yeah, I'm thinking maybe Cal say one more thing, and then at this point the hero's like, okay, start talking. And then the flashback begins. Because he considers there's a lot of hostility happening between the two of them at this point, and he wants to break it up, I guess. But we're gonna have to have choices, because again, we need every single dialogue option the hero has involves a choice. So we'll think about our points again and how that can be affected. Something like that. That's the sassiest thing I can think of. Okay. Let's see. I'm thinking if we defend Rose, we get a more raw emotional response that leads right into the flashback. If we defend ourselves, we get banter with Carol and a bit of back and forth. And the romance option, the hero walks over to her. She's a bit more calm and she explains a bit more before the flashback. All that, I do like that because there's a great difference. And I'm definitely, if I admit to myself, fond of if choices make a difference to what you say. If things always lead back to the same dialogue option too fast, it feels like you're not really getting rewarded, doesn't it, from the choices that you're making. So I'm in agreement with you there, Zexy. So so which option did we say we get the banter? If we defend ourselves, so that will be happening in the middle one. Let's just move these a bit further up actually so that we can. But yeah, the hero definitely breaks things up at this point. Because she's getting pretty, things are getting pretty bad. Okay, so we've got we make this a little bit. There we go, now we can fit it there. I mean, I can always tidy this up after, but the job is we just get some ideas in for now. We don't care about the messiness of it at this point. Okay. And we said we get a more. Zexy suggests we get a more raw and emotional response that leads right into the flashback if we defend Rose. Okay. So we could always do it, so we're going to get different choices, whether it's 2 or 3, we don't know. One could be more patient and one could be more angry. Maybe. But yeah, this would lead straight to these. How do we do more than one again? Oh, hang on. I might have to do a line, actually. Similar to how I did it here. Oh, let's copy and paste that. Yeah, I suppose it does make sense because if you defend her, it would kind of already stop that quarrel. But if you don't defend her, you know, the quarrel continues. And then we gotta think now how we're gonna deal with the flirting response, and also how are we gonna differ these responses by the hero. How can we make a rude one? I'm so nice that I struggle thinking of mean dialogue. But he could be more blunt in this one. And more polite here. Maybe that's my first idea. You guys might have other ideas for how we can handle this. But that is the first thing that comes into my mind here. And at this point, the flashback will begin. So, is that, do we, yeah, I think we trigger it by with the blue box there. Okay, so I think we've got a good skeleton here, a good framework of this particular scene. A few things need just tidying up and adding, but we're getting there. We're doing really well. And then we can start thinking about this as well. So let's catch up with chat. I'll catch up with chat, and then we'll start tidying things up. Okay. Wait, the insight seems that even roses have thorns. Roses do have thorns. I think that's a good one. I'm gonna copy and paste that one, put in notepad file officer. So don't know if we got room to keep the banter going on now, but I've got a notepad file of a list of insults, and that's where I saw the empty-headed one. And I always kind of refer to that when I'm trying to come up with some words. I helped. Woo, yay! So in my head, I was imagining the party walking along, Carol stopping Rose while the hero kept moving, because he didn't realise they'd stopped. And when Carol yells for him to listen up, he turns around, noticing they're a bit of a ways back. That's why I had the just get over here, since the hero would be a bit ahead. That would tell the hero to come close to talk, and shows that Carol isn't angry at that moment because she was caught off guard by the flirt. And maybe it reminds her of the banter she used to have with the other barrels. I like it. I think that's that would be good. Okay, so because at first I was wondering what the just get over here meant. I was like, whoa, Carol, being forward there. But if he genuinely, you actually do mean because he's a bit of a distance away. Yeah, actually that makes sense, because why would Carol stop the hero when it's Rose that she wants to have a good look at? The hero would carry on, I guess. Hi Andy Cake, how are you doing? It's good to see you. You having a good day? Right, so Carol stops Rose while the hero keeps them walking. Faces Rose, stands still, look at me, cruncher. Is it you? Shut face. Oh, flashback, listen up, I've seen this before. Okay. So yeah, naturally he will turn around. At this point, I don't think we have to do the action, because I think it's common sense that he'll turn around, or maybe we should. What do you reckon? I think it's probably more smarter if we do label every action, because it can be easy to forget. Turns around. Or we can have faces Carol. Or faces the barrel. Just so a bit more specific. Okay, so we're gonna just think of a nice flirty insult. Well, something that isn't too nice, because you can flirt and be mean. That works. It all depends on tone, you know. Hi, Battle Sandwich, how are you doing? Are you developing the game systems concurrently with the story? Do you mean, am I writing the story alongside making the game? Sorry, I'm just a bit confused. Talking in more tech language, sometimes I don't understand because I'm a big silly. You feel like jelly? I feel like I need a drink of alcohol, actually, and I don't have any. Gonna be doing some chores instead, but I hope you're all having a nice day. I hope you are too, Bell Sandwich. How are you doing? I do think the Defend Rose option should have a Rose response when she looks surprised or something. Oh yeah, good idea. Good idea. It can be very easy to miss these little small touches. So what we'll do here is we'll do Rose. Actually, just for quickness, we'll copy this. It sounds like you need to watch some Sunday animes. So you like, yeah, Carol's a Sundayer. That was specifically the word we use to describe her. If anyone asks about Carol, I'm just generally bad at being mean because I'm nice. Even if I watch mean characters, I still can't be mean. It's definitely a challenge, but a good challenge. Who's the best anime Sunday character then? That's a question I can ask chat. I might have asked this one before. So it's always good to have inspiration for Carol the Barrel. Actually, like that, when we defend ourselves, we face Carol and she moves to us while she's doing the class-related banter. Okay, so there. So I've even put their walks to hero. Okay. Coming home to a rare stream, yay! I hope that makes you happy, Andy Cake. Yeah, that's it, Space Cowboy. Exactly it. And it's basically what I based Carol's description on: a hostile barrel who behaves harshly to others but has a secret softer side. She is that trope for sure. Okay. Yeah, are you writing the game's combat and such while the story is in process? Yeah, I'm doing everything at the same time. We had some skill and combat streams over just before the Christmas period, actually. And we'll be revisiting that once we've got the next set of cutscenes done. Rin Tosaka set the mould on Sunday. Oh, right. Asuka Langley is up there. Cove and Fruits Fest, but it's pretty good. I think it's the type of anime you'd like, Rose. Awesome, guys. Thank you for those names. I'm gonna Google those characters and at least watch some YouTube videos on them to see. And I think you said, actually, Zexy mentioned that character to before. It's familiar to me. Hi, Grash, how you doing today? It's good to see you. Hope you're having a good day. Okay, I don't know why this line isn't connecting to our box. There we go. It's connecting now. Right, so is there anything that we need to consider? Oh, right, so let's carry on with this part of the conversation. Just get over here. So what can happen? What can occur? Let's reread what Zexi said. Okay. Shows that Carol isn't angry at the moment because she was caught off guard by the flirt, and she's a bit more calm and explains a bit of stuff before the flashback. Okay, so the hero can walk up to her. He doesn't necessarily have to say anything at this point. Carol can just carry on talking. We can say waits for hero to walk over. So the question is, what could she say? Are we going to reveal some secret info? Some personal stuff about her family that you can only find out if you do that option? Ooh. I feel like we need to make up for not getting a bravery or compassion point, so that would be well worth the reward. And other than that, so other than filling in the dialogue bit that happens here, which will have to obviously lead into this bit again, once we've had that conversation, we've also so I'll just put that. Oh yes, we have to link this up too. We'll do that one once we finish that dialogue. Hi True Baldy, how's it going? It's good to see you. Hope you're having a good day. How are you, True Baldy? It's nearly the evening for True Baldy. It's like me. True Baldy, I think, is an hour in front of me. It's night time. Top Bra, thank you for that rose. How are you guys doing? It's good to see you all. How's your day going, guys? How was your stream? Hope it went well. How is your game development coming along? Tell us how are you getting on with that? And thank you very much for bringing your community over. I appreciate that. Guys, if you're interested in game development, definitely give Top Bra a follow. And Zexi said, I'm just on the edge. This crunches Rose was there the night my son was all right, I'll reread that in a sec, Zexi, because it looks like it's going to be handy for our conversation. We're doing some dialogue stuff today for those that have just entered the stream for our game. It is stream 90. Can you believe that, everybody? We're nearly on stream 100 of our Raindrop Chronicles game. So yes, we're doing a lot of dialogue and scene work for the next couple of weeks. And it's going to be lots of fun because I really like doing this sort of thing. It's my favourite bit. And thank you, guys, for being here. Hi, Lilybite. How are you? Welcome. It went well, thanks. It's going well. I've set a release date. Finally. Oh, when is it? Oh my goodness, True Baldy, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime. I appreciate that. Can we have some hype, guys, for True Baldy with that 4 months of sub on this channel? I appreciate that. Thank you so much. If that is what I think it is. Yeah, what is that? I always call him top bra because I think of a lady's boob holder when I see top bra's name. I'm loud, what can I say? But I'm sure it's something else. Okay. Not if you mean in Swedish. Releasing on March the 31st. Terrifying. Oh my goodness, that is soon. That your game is coming out before the Final Fantasy VII remake then. My goodness me. Hi poo. Well, best of luck. And of course, I will try and remember that. If not, make sure you remind me so I can keep an eye out. It's meant to is bro, which is evolved to bra. Oh right, okay. I think I'm aware of that term now. It means marijuana in Swedish. Oh right, interesting. It seems like it's got a lot of meanings then. Yay! Thank you for hype true body. I'm gonna give you some hype true body because you deserve it all. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get this conversation done, shall we? I think we've done really well today. Chat, I think we've really got a good cutscene sorted here. Considering we started this stream with nothing, we've done really well, haven't we? We haven't started the flashback yet, but we can get straight into the flashback once we've got this scene done. So let's reread what Zexy said. This Rose was there the night my son was taken. She knows where he is. She has to know where he is for the defend Rose option. Oh, okay, Zexy, you think that should be in the defend option? Shall we be that revealing? No, I feel like I think it'd be a super cool idea to have her talk a bit more about her family in the flirting one, but I don't know if she should here. I mean, nothing wrong if we put it, but it's just thinking of where to put it because we've all already got quite a bit of heavy dialogue going on. But oh yeah, we haven't here. If you mean in this one, I think you might mean in this one. Okay. So that could work if we have a bit more dialogue there, definitely. But it would also mean we'd have to be even more. We'd have to have something even more revealing in this particular dialogue section, if that's the case, to make up for. I feel like we definitely need to be rewarded if the player picks this one, he needs to be rewarded. So. You're not disappointed. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the hi, Pandy Cake. I'm a bit embarrassed that I didn't realise that's what it meant, but it's slang, so that's my excuse. So that's funny. I didn't know it meant that either. Maybe the flirting one is her saying something like, you remind me a bit of this box I know. Oh my goodness. Woody. Do you think the custom hero's like Woody? I suppose if he flirts, he would be like Woody. You know, that's very funny actually, because I can imagine Woody, who is this character here, by the way, everybody. He's kind of got a thing for Carol, hasn't he? We're going to make it so he has, so he flirts with her a lot. I mean, look at that face. That's the face of a flirt. Chub Cheek said he's handsome. Seems that some of our community are going to develop a bit of a crush on Woody. That's funny. Is Woody your favourite, guys? I think Hank's Zex's favourite, right? But Woody, I'm sure Woody got mentioned as somebody's favourite yesterday. Okay, let's get the dialogue ideas in. Okay. Okay, so that's a way we could start dialogue. What would her expression be? That's an interesting one. Okay. So at this point, will the hero... I don't know if he should entertain her flirting and dialogue. Maybe he should get straight to the point and be like, tell me how you know her. What do you reckon? Carol can continue rambling on a bit. There's no harm in having a few extra Carol boxes if we want to do that. But I don't know if maybe the next thing the hero should say is just that. And also, this looks a mess. Let's tidy up that. Delete that. Let's just put, hey. Sometimes Draw.io does that. It just puts a random... There we go. If we put it there, it'll be better. That's probably the best way to do it. It's a little bit messy, but I'll tidy that up after stream, I think. We'll make it easy. A tool where the arrow connections can be exported as code. Yeah, I wouldn't know how to. I'm not aware of any other flow software or anything like that. I use this simply because it's what I know and it does the job and it's easy. But I'm sure there's better out there. I'm sure there is. There always is. Hank is my favourite asset. Barrow is my favourite character regards just the Barrel family. What about Woody, Zexy? Do you like Woody? Hi, Genova. Sure, making games very hard. I see why even big AA developer need 5 years average to make a game. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. It's especially if you care a lot about your product and what you're doing. If you want it to be, you know, not rushed and of good quality, then yeah, naturally it'll take even longer. I use Twine for dialogue. I've found an extension that lets me export it in JSON format. Oh, that's interesting. I think I've heard of Twine before as well. I am very fond of the setup we've got here with the flows for dialogues. It's very easy to just see everything at once. And it does the job. I'm happy to continue using it because of that. Yeah, it can be a bit fiddly sometimes with the arrows. I'm not going to deny that it's fiddly, but yeah, it's the only drawback, I'd say. Woody is the blueberry at the barrels. That means you don't like him then, because you hate blueberry. How do you get it into the game? Oh, do you mean how do I get the dialogue in the game? Usually I just write it, copy and paste, or write it by hand into RPG Maker. This is all just the planning. I like to get it all here so that it's planned and 100% done. And then I just write it by hand in the RPG Maker software. After stream, would you mind throwing this into the dialogue discussion so we can keep working on it? Yeah, of course, Sexy. I think that would be sensible. What I usually do, guys, I have a dialogue discussion channel in my Discord, and I've been doing it as regularly as possible whenever we do dialogue. Every time I update it, I put it in. That's previous ones we've done, just so people can see, and if anybody has any suggestions for improving any of the lines or making them better, I like putting it in for that reason. Welcome, John. Welcome to our Discord. I think you're using special text, so I can't find your name. There we go. Welcome. It's good to have you here. And guys, our Discord's pretty cool. We have some cool channels that aren't Raindrop Chronicles related. We have a place you can post your own creative work. We have an adorable pets channel and everything. We've got all the cool things here. Okay. They're the best berries except cherries. I like the blueberry Andy cake. Blueberry's my favourite. Because we have fruits as characters in this game as well, not just barrels. So that's who we're referring to. Can import twine into RPG Maker. I have no idea if there's an easy way to do it. I can imagine it. Would it even be possible? Because it's all done in an event like pop-up in RPG Maker. It's hard to describe for people that don't know the software, but there's RPG Maker works with like little pop-ups for events, and it's a little bit, I don't know if it'd be the same as the more usual game dev softwares, but I'm getting by okay, guys, no worries about me. I'm sure there's easier ways to do things, but sometimes you can spend ages learning it and then in the end it's not worth it because you've spent weeks trying to get your head around some other technique. If RPG Maker can load JSON files, then that would be it. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I'm not like against finding out more. I guess if it just depends if it's a quick and easy solution. I'm super in favour of using what you know, to be honest. Yeah, I'm all for like knowing about other ways to do things as long as it doesn't take a big bulk of time. Once I think, oh, this is going a bit over my head now, then I'm reluctant to go ahead with it, because I think it could like get into the game development time if I'm spending time learning something overly new and complicated. But if it's quick and easy, then I'm always intrigued. I found myself spending lots of time copying and pasting dodge, just like you're saying, and it was getting out of hand. Yeah, I can get wanting to search for other solutions, especially if it's becoming a problem. And I think that's the thing with being a developer. There's always ways that we go about doing things in a different way. Over time, it's part of the process, isn't it? And who knows, maybe I will do the same. Maybe I'll be like, guys, I'm fed up of copying and pasting and writing. Like, tell me about this other way. Eventually I might get to that point, but right now I'm doing all right. What version of RPG Maker are you using? I can research it for you. It's RPG Maker MV Space Cowboy. I'll get it written just so you know for sure. It's that one. Okie doke. So what were we doing? Right, so we have the option for it to potentially for Carol to discuss her family a little bit more at this point, so we can have some hidden Easter eggs, I guess. Well, they're not really, but you know, we're finding out some secret information here that you wouldn't if you picked the other dialogue options. But we could also just keep it like that and then get straight back into that dialogue. Okay, so I think, did we say we'd expand a bit more on this one? We did, didn't we? Because right now this top one's the most boring, so we can liven it up a bit by adding a bit more from Carol. I'm going to scroll back and remind myself what Zexy suggested. Okay, something like that then. Fred's back. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. And hi, Drago. How are you doing today? It's good to see you. Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, I think the defenders either needs Carol being straight, rude, or give an emotional, vulnerable response because, hey, she wants to find her kind and think that Rose will know how. Yes. I am definitely for this kind of one that we've decided to go with. I think whether we edit that slightly, I don't know, but anything of that kind of tone could work because the mean one is this one. Carol being straight, rude is definitely this middle one here, where she gets very hostile and quarrels with Rose. This one is Rose still being a bit touchy, but less rude and more vulnerable. And this one down here is Carol being calm. Did I just call Carol Rose? This one here is Carol being calm and revealing a few little family secrets. So I think we've got a good scene there. Oh yes, how are we going to affect with this bit here? It'd be nice if we can affect the trait points, compassion, etc. I don't know why, like, I wouldn't say that this line in particular would minus any compassion though, because it's not that mean. But it could give or minus romance points, perhaps. If we go for the more blunt option, we could lose a romance point with Carol. And if we go for the nice, we could gain one. That's what I'm thinking right now, because I really want every single choice to, you know, have something where it affects you, your personality as the hero. Whether it's gaining or losing compassion, bravery or wisdom points, or gaining romance points with that particular character. So I mean, we haven't got the romance system in the game yet, so we don't really know exactly how it works, but we could always have it so that there's a romance points and friendship points. I can't promise that we can get that, but I don't see why it would be difficult to. And some particular conversations might affect friendship more than the romance. And I don't like locking out interactions that with the non-romanceable characters, you know. So friendship seems like it could be good, but what do you guys think? Because that might affect friendship more than actual romance. But this one would be romance. And I think what you have written also helps diffuse the situation, which can help lead into the flashback. Yeah, I think we've done well, Sexy. Thank you very much for all your help. Very grateful to have your assistance, Sexy. You're sad, Drago. You rested my computer and didn't back up my project, so I hope that they would be added back with Steam Cloud, but I'm not getting my hopes up. Oh no. Oh no. Well, I hope it's there, Drago. I've got my fingers crossed for you. Always regularly back up. I hope did you do loads of it? Maybe try to affect wisdom, like have a really insightful option that gives us a +1 wisdom. Ooh, any ideas? What sort of insightful option? Anything that's going around in your mind, Sexy? Because that sounded interesting. I mean, we do we do seem to be lacking a bit of wisdom in this particular conversation, but it's not always vital to include every single trait. Some scenes and some quests will be very heavy with one trait over the other. Some quests might be completely compassion based, others might be completely bravery based, and others might be more wisdom based, or a bit a combo of two even. I rested my computer because I had so much junk and my new motherboard wasn't working fully. Yeah, I don't blame you for starting it again. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, I don't know. I mean, last time I reset my computer, everything was still on there. So it might still be on there. I guess you'll just have to say. But yeah, it always sucks when you lose work. I know the feels because that's happened to me, especially when I was a kid. That happened a lot. But I've learned my lesson now, so I always try and back up things. But oh no, I hope everything's okay. I'm thinking something that shows. Hi, exclusively Lex. Thank you for the follow, by the way. I appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. It's good to meet you all. I'm thinking like something that shows we're paying attention to Carol. We know she has something she wants to get off her chest, so we ask sort of lead her into telling us about it without being blunt or confrontational. Okay, we could always do it so what you're saying is this particular one, the polite version. We can combine that with wisdom, with your idea for giving a plus in wisdom, and there's no reason why we can't gain a romance or friendship point and a wisdom point in one choice. So we can do that. I can't think off the top of my head what sort of thing the hero could potentially say, but it's nice to consider that because something might strike me when I have a think. I put insightful there as well. Okay, so that could work. I know we need to make a few changes. We want to think of the mean word. If we don't think of any others by default, we'll go with cruncher. We'll see how things go. Same for this flirty word we're going to use for the hero. We've got to think of that too, and it's just making sure that we're happy with the lead into the flashback as well. So with that almost there. I mean there'll probably be a few little changes, but we're getting there. I'm very happy with what we've done, and I guess it's thinking about the flashback now, and then we'll have, once the flashback ends, we'll return to this scene. The Carol, Rose and the hero will be in the same positions wherever this was before, and we'll tie up that conversation and end it, and then they will carry onwards through the forest until they reach the first boss. So that is the plan. Yeah, I need more time to get an idea together too. I'll probably have to drop in Discord after I've had some time to draft out a few ideas, and Cruncher can always be switched out later. Reading, we could have up until release the first episode to figure out insult we want. Yeah, it's something, things like that, they don't come to you immediately, do the some words. Sometimes much later you get a good idea. And we can always have polls for things like that as well, where if we ever get a few ideas, but we don't even necessarily have to have polls for things like that, because it's all about whenever the time is appropriate or the tone of the conversation. Some words will fit better than others. So, but we'll leave this as it is for now, but I will pop it in the dialogue channel once stream has ended today. I'll tidy everything up a bit because it's a little bit boxes are a little bit messy, so I'll just tidy things up, and then once it's tidied up I'll get it popped in. But we can also spend some time thinking about the flashback as well. So I'm going to refer to my notes, because right now we've only got the bit about Alvira and Meryl and the oil drum, and I'm sure there's so much other banter that we can have as well. So give me a min, guys, because I'm going to look through some notes that people might have had some ideas from a while back, because I tend to copy and paste any amusing scenes people mention. Okay, so I've got a bit more to expand on with this. I'm literally just copying and pasting what somebody said a while ago, but let's just tidy it up. Okay, so somebody put a bit of dialogue together, which I was a fan of. They basically, I never liked him, when you gonna break up with that rusty bucket. Definitely Alvira for that. I don't know about this line. I do like it. Something to trigger the oil drum getting mentioned, because it seemed a bit random to just mention the oil drum out the blue. There has to be something that triggers it. Him being mentioned. So somebody had the idea of Meryl flirting with someone else, not necessarily the player character, but it could be Woody. Maybe she flirts with Woody, but you know, we don't even have to have that be the trigger. It can be a different scenario altogether. We go. So that's just an idea. If any ideas come up in your head, of course, chat, feel free to expand on this, because we're getting all the ideas into the red boxes, and once we feel it makes a good bit of dialogue, we'll start actually adding these white boxes. Rose, you need a snake. Why do I need a snake? What? People here love snakes, don't they? Yeah, it's all gone. The only thing left of it is the first and only demo. Oh no, Drago. Is there absolutely no way that you can go back to put your computer back to the state it was in before? I forgot what the proper professional technical term is for that, but I've done that in the past. I've put my computer back, and I've in a state it was another time period. Yeah, if anybody knows a way around it for Drago as well, that would be awesome, because it always sucks to have to lose your work. I need a snack. I was going to say, it was snake. Why would I need a snake? But now it all makes sense. I do need a snack. You know what I do have, though? It's not a cigarette. It's a piece of chocolate. Oh no. Are you going to have to start again, Dragon? That was yummy. All my chocolate's nearly gone now, though. Is that a Pocky? No, it isn't. I want some of them. No, I really like them. But these are actually just After Eight straws. They've copied the Pockies. tile screen. How much of your project did you do? I certainly hope you didn't do too much. Okay, so let's look at some other ideas. So if we look at Alvira's description, we know that she is somebody who really is convinced she's an antique barrel. So I'm just gonna carry on doing this, guys. Any ideas that pop into my head or anything that the community has suggested in the past that I've kept in my notepad file, I'm gonna pop here. I'm gonna pop it all here, and it might trigger some good dialogue conversations, maybe. Lost all the pieces I made of the characters. Have you got any images at all of it? See, I definitely find it's a lot easier to do it again if you can see what it looked like before, but if not, then it's a pain in the ass. So I thought that Carol and the others were themselves smugglers, but based on what you were saying yesterday, that's not correct. No, Carol and her friends are totally innocent in all this. They're not up to any nefarious deeds. They're just being used. Obviously by the people that hijack them. The antagonist involved in all the Raindrop illegal activity with the containers is the one up to no good. Carol, they're not bad people, they're just innocent barrels. I like to keep a bit of innocence with these cats. I know they're a bit silly, but I don't think they should be bad guys or antagonists. They're just getting dragged into a situation that isn't their fault. That's kind of what this is, if that makes sense. I hope it does. But yeah, they're like, objects, and people think they can use them for their own advantages. I don't think they're really fully aware of the situations they're in. And yeah, maybe they are, but maybe it's something they can find out over time, over the course of the story, about what they're involved in. Because as the player, we don't know much about it either. A lot will be a mystery to us at the start. It feels like going along on that journey with them will work. Like as we slowly learn more, so do they, so do the barrels, about the whole plot that's going on in our little, where are we, that we've done here. So really they'd probably only be aware of things they've overheard in conversation. All the plot, why it happened, they weren't alive at that point, so they wouldn't have known. They'd have come to life minding their own business and just having a happy, small, innocent community. And I guess when they do get stolen and hijacked, they will probably wonder what on earth is going on and realise something's not quite right, but we don't, you know, we're not going to see the aftermath of their thoughts at that point, probably. I mean, there's obviously going to be a scene where we find them in the future, or there's a conversation of them when they've been captured somewhere. Obviously that will probably happen in the game eventually, but at this point in the story they're like unaware of all the goings on. Okay, welcome back, Drago. How are you doing? But I hope all that rambling on makes sense. Okay, maybe open the scene with Carol talking to Oliver. Oliver says something like, "Mama, the skylights look so pretty." And she agrees, and Oliver asks what are they, and she tells him they're stars and gives Rod the exploration of stars that she overheard. Oh yeah, that's another thing. We haven't considered if this takes place at day or night. I like the idea now you mention it that it does take place at night. I hadn't even thought if it takes place day or night, but it can contrast then between the summer of the Everbloom Forest where it's daytime, and then we go into a flashback where it's dark. So I like that contrast. So should we describe here that it's at night time as well then? It's always a good idea to get that picture in your heads and describe the scene, I think. So I'm going to add that extra detail. Okay. Change that to night as well. Right, so I like that. I think the main thing is we introduce all the characters and really kind of show off a bit of who they are, what they're like, get a bit of banter between them and make us attached to them. They're kind of the goals. I think it's a good way to humanise Carol and show that she is a mother and she's trying to be a good mother. Yeah, I think because now the player only knows Carol as some really violent, mean barrel at this point. So it'll be nice to show another side, I agree. Because I think she should be a good mother to Oliver for sure. I agree. She's got that soft side. Okay. Another reason I like the idea of starting with Carol and Oliver is because they're kind of the focus of this whole thing. Carol's the main character out of these guys, and Oliver is her main motivation for why she wants to find them. These other guys are just there with them, and I'm sure she cares about them because they're part of her family and community too, but I definitely see Carol and Oliver as the main ones. So putting them at the start as the focus is a smart idea as well. So I'm still going to put this in a red box for now, but honestly, if we think it's going to work really well as a scene, we'll get them in them dialogue boxes as soon as possible. But it's a cool idea to get all the ideas together first, I think. Do you want to see the only thing that I can use that was saved? You can pop in anything that you want to share with the community, Drago. You can pop in Discord. We have a creative work channel right here. That people share, so honestly feel free to post your stuff in there. We'd love to see. big fan of making them innocent as well, because they're sentient objects that have only been alive for, hang on, let's have a look, 3 months. They've lived for all of 3 months, approximately. If we don't change this timeline, that is, they'll have lived for that long. And having like them be innocent and naive about the world around them is charming and likeable in general. I think people kind of are drawn to characters like that. I know I am. I am anyway. So they generally will be a lot more likeable if they're pretty clueless and naive. And we would see that with this kind of conversation too. Exactly, we can have others trying to build the scene and give development, but Carol and Oliver should be the main focus. Yeah, for sure. I think we need to keep them as key, and there's no harm at all in these 4 being prominent as well, especially as the game goes on, because I think they are a really fascinating bunch of characters. So I want them all to have a purpose and be a part of the story. I definitely don't want any of them to be minor, for sure. But Oliver to me is really like, he needs to be made into this precious thing that the player really cares about. So thank you, John, for the follow. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Good to meet you. Hi, Play It Forward. Well, your voice is so clear compared to some other streamers I was just watching. Oh, really? That's good. That means my mic's doing its job then. I'm glad to hear that. I have a Blue Yeti, by the way, if anybody's curious. Right. She tells them that they're stars and gives the wrong representation. Wonder what wrong I'm really keen to know if anybody has any really amusing or adorable wrong explanations for stars. Because that just is cute. That's adorable. Okay. Rose is the most concise Hungarian streamer I've seen on Twitch. Oh, right. You meant my accent is clear, or as in the mic quality? I'm actually wondering now. I might have misunderstood. That's the mic I have. I use to produce Game New podcasts. I was saying, yeah, it's a great mic. It's affordable, but good. So, you know, it's one that doesn't cost the earth, but if you want to have a decent quality stream, it's perfect. Awesome, Drago. I'll have a little peep after stream. Simba the Kings of Old live up there. You know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to, if anybody does have any ideas, I'm going to bullet point them here. And we can always find out what everybody's favourite is, so don't be shy. So, I don't know if we can have Simba. We can put name here. The Kings of Old live up there. I do think that's an interesting idea and way to take it. But I like to with things like names and lore and world building, I definitely like to keep those ideas open so we can potentially come up with some cool ideas together. Okay, so I'm going to actually put an arrow . if I bold it, then people know that that's what that box refers to. Right, so we might need to spread these boxes out or put them somewhere else because things are getting a little bit squished. Well, they will be getting a bit squished soon. I'm just joking. Well, I'm gonna put anything you guys say because something is better than nothing, even in joke. And you know, it's meant to be a bit of a fun bit of dialogue anyway. So not too sad, just a tiny bit sad. I'm glad you're not too sad, Draco. These things happen. It's a lesson learned anyway, I guess, these sort of things. Okay, I'm gonna look at my notes again. Right guys, I'm just having a peep at my notes because there's a lot of ideas about the barrels and I want to put anything relevant here on our page. I don't want anything to get missed out, you see, for this cutscene. Meryl could then chime in with, well, Oil Drum says that they're actually, and she gives another wrong outlandish explanation of what they are. Alveria then makes her snide comment about the Oil Drum. Yeah, so if we can get more than one, if we can get some other ideas here, guys, then that will be perfect. Because then we can have all these outlandish explanations. Right, we'll add that as well so we remember. And actually that's a really good way to introduce the Oil Drum and make him get mentioned, actually, because then it won't be too out the blue. And she probably shouldn't call him Oil Drum. I'm sure that we'll think of a name for him. I'd love to do a poll for that as well. A name for the Oil Drum. Okay, this is so good. I'm proud of you, Zexy. I don't know what I'd do without you. You've come up with some really cool things. Right, so Let's put this in the order of events, right? I think that'll be the tidiest way to do it. We'll do an order of events thing. So it starts with that. Actually, put that here. I'm going to move these down, actually. I don't know if we need them. I'm sure everybody knows the characters. And if you don't, if you want to read the description, guys, just tell me and I'll move it down so you can see. But for now, we'll get them out the way. Just move that there for a sec, because if we want to start the dialogue, we'll have room for it then. So I'm just thinking how to make this dialogue fly best with what we've got so far. So Avira will, or maybe someone else can say that. So we can introduce another character at this point rather than have Alvira say all of it. So far we've had Carol and Oliver. We've had Meryl. We'll have Alvira because she'll say she doesn't like him. It'd be a good point to have either Hank or Woody maybe say this. So I suppose the tone of that line would be different depending on which one it was that said it. If it was Hank, he'd be more concerned, protective father. Woody would be like, why are you still seeing him? You should be with me. So, you know, it'd be different based on which one would say it. Or maybe Hank can say that and be concerned, and Woody can say afterwards how you should be with me instead. You know, and then we would have introduced all the 6 characters by that point. So something like that could work. What do you reckon, guys? Let's catch up with chat. Why is there barrels? Because barrels are the best. Come on, you cannot deny that these are the best characters you've ever seen. Right, I heard a strange race of barrels live up there. They are all grey and like to steal sleeping barrels to experiment on them. Well, these are the only barrels in the world. So they're not actually a race, guys. They're actually brought to life by a spell. I really can't wait to talk about this more in the next story so far video, because it's going to be fun. And I'm not saying never for having more barrels or sentient containers, but I think if we did go in that direction, there has to be a reason for it. And, you know, the law will fit with why that happened. Maybe there's been other, yeah. There has been discussion about that possibility, and I'm sure there'll be a way to tie it in, but we'll see. They are all grey. Hank is a grey barrel, though. Look, he's grey. And he's nice. He don't steal. No barrels steal. Almost as bad as the flat barrelers. Flat barrelers. Elvira and Meryl bicker for a text box or two, then Hank scoots over and explains what stars actually are. Shanky is actually really knowledgeable about the human world. Yeah, I like the idea of Hank being a wise old guy. And Woody being the cheeky one. So Woody definitely needs to chime up and say something too. And I feel like him being a bit of a cheeky one, being like, are you still seeing that oil drum? Like, you know, why be with him when I'm here, sort of thing. yeah, I don't, yeah, maybe Hank doesn't need to go all protective father because it's Elvira who's that parent, or grandparent, should I say. I need to get in the head of a cheeky charmer, a womanizer, guys. What would a womanizer say at this point? Hi Netcron, how you doing? I'm doing great, Netcron. We're having a really, really productive stream today, dialogue-wise. Custom menus. Oh, that sounds really cool. Custom menus. Alien abduction believers. Hi, Hallowed. Well, it's a PG-13 game. So we can't go too far with that, so just cheeky will be fine. Right, so are you still seeing the oil drum? Because I don't know if Woody's genuine. He's just cheeky. I think he's more romantically interested in Carol than Meryl, but he won't resist saying something like that. Because look at that face. You know, he'd try it on anybody. But I want the best cheeky bit of dialogue here for him, possible, ideally. A womanizer would say something that puts the oil barrel down and would toot his own horn to try and impress Meryl. So just because inspiration hasn't hit me yet with the cheeky line we could go for, I'm going to just put in brackets that thing. And then whether Elvira or Woody speaks first, I don't know, because we could have it so Elvira's the one that speaks first and then Woody says it after. I guess it depends what sounds best. And then we've also got this, which isn't relevant yet, but we can maybe fit it in somewhere. There was also something somebody said that I want to talk about as well, but I'm going to wait a bit first. I want to read the rest of the notes. LOL, is that a barrel with a bra on? It is. Hello, it's she's very stunning, isn't she? She's tipped so waifu material, but this is my waifu, this one here. But some people might have Meryl as their waifu instead. It depends what your type is, I guess. Right. What's inside of him like beer? He might say, my foam is about to overflow. That is actually something to consider as well. I'm glad you've mentioned that, Space Cowboy, because the story-wise, plot-wise, they will eventually be holding water because that's why the hijackers kidnapped them. But they'll be holding something else inside them while they're on this cart, I'd say. It could be anything. It could be goods. It could be fruits. It could be, you know, stuff that's that's coming back from the local farm. So it literally could be anything, guys. So that could be something to have a think about. Which one would say that, Spice Cable? You mean the box? One thing I'm thinking about with Woody, guys, as well, and Hank as well, I'm actually going to discuss this now. As you can see, Hank's got a hole in him and Woody's is soggy with water. I'm wondering if they should be normal at first. For example, Woody isn't soggy in the beginning and Hank hasn't got a hole in him yet. I'm thinking, should we make it plot that they get that happen to them? Because Woody will definitely hold water eventually, because he's gonna be a container for the raindrops, so that's why he's gonna be wet. And Hank, we could have him so he gets injured during the hijacking, and that's when he gets the hole in him, because it could just make people, I think it could be interesting if we, rather than have him already be disabled. What do you guys think? It's just another way to go about things. I was looking through my notes and saw that somebody mentioned that, and I thought it was intriguing. It could also be that he actually doesn't care because he has a thing for Carol, not Meryl, but he knows that Elvira is actually really racist and gets on Meryl's nerves, so he just eggs Elvira on. Exactly. I think that's the thing with Woody's character. He's not interested in Meryl because he's got eyes for Carol, but he's a flirt. He's a womanizer, so he's not going to hesitate to just say stuff like that anyway. And if it's going to egg someone on, he'd do it as well for that. He's just that kind of character. I mean, look at the face. The face gives it away. Okay. I love me a barrel because, yeah, Hallowed, which one's your favourite? Which barrel have you got your eye on? Whoever was the womanizer was what I was thinking. Oh, right, okay. Is their foam about to overflow? That's lewd, isn't it? I get it now. That's lewd. You make me so hot I'm about to boil over. Yeah, I guess we just want to be careful because we don't want it to get too lewd. But Woody, I think he would definitely be a bit lewd, PG-13 lewd, if the opportunity it fit, with what was happening in the conversation. But I don't think he'd go all out and say something that strong straight away. There'd have to be a bit of flirty banter going on first. But yeah, I would be for doing something like that if conversation got very heavy with Woody and Meryl, or Woody and my goodness me. So actually, speaking of Hank's hole, I think should be already have the hole, and because of that the hijackers can't use him. It smuggled Raindrop, so toss him aside, making him the first of the barrels. We find, okay, hang on one sec, let me reread that. Because of that, the hijackers can't use it and smuggle Raindrop, so they toss him aside, making the first barrel. Well, we could still have it be that way, Zach, even if he didn't have the hole at the beginning, because we could make him get the hole really quick. Like for example, in this particular dialogue sequence that's happening when everything's peaceful, he wouldn't have the hole, and he gets it once the hijacking starts. When Carol rolls out the cart and Rose jumps out and attacks the hijackers, we could also have Hank get a hole in him at that point. That is a possibility, and the reason I'm thinking that is just to add more drama more than anything to make us feel sorry for somebody and be like, no, because if he was okay in the beginning and then gets a hole, we can develop the sympathy. I get if that makes any sense, and feel sorry for him. And we can still have that option too, where we find him the first because he wasn't of any use. He'd still have the hole very early on, like literally, I'd say a minute into the flashback or a few minutes into flashback, the hijacking's going to happen, and that's when he'd get his hole. So yeah, 100% could still go for it. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And we'd have a dry Woody as well. I think it obviously plot wise it would make sense for Woody to be dry at this point in the story, because he's probably holding solids at the moment. Why would somebody put water in a cardboard box? But he'd have water in him later because the antagonist is desperate, isn't he? He thinks, I want my raindrop, so he'd just put the water in Woody anyway, and that's why he'd be wet at that point. And I think seeing somebody that it would be more for comic relief as well if we have him suddenly get soggy and we can have some funny dialogue at that point. And because it's formed the shape of a chiseled chin, Woody at that point is even more handsome than he was before, and he's like loving life. He's like, look at me. So yeah, that's a thing too. Woody is full of cauliflower. Yeah, so I'll have to do the avatars of Hank and Woody when they're normal. We'll get those done as well. So one thing I am going to note down here as well is there's some commotion outside when the car gets hijacked. Hank, right, how did the person in the notepad file describe it? They said right, one sec guys, I've just lost the bit I'm looking at in my file. So I'll just put Hank gets injured. Well, Hank rolls over. Let's think about how this scene would unfold. Hank rolls over and falls into a, bashes into it and crashes into a. Let's have a look at his asset. What sort of thing would he have rolled into to get something like that happen to him then? And I'll definitely, what I'll do is I'll turn that smile, well, I'll turn that sad face the other way around as well when he hasn't got a hole in him. And once he's got the hole, he can have the sad face then as well. How to word this? Rahan rolls over and crashes into a something, making a hole in him. That don't make sense, doesn't it? Making a hole in him. Yeah, that sentence makes no sense. Crashes into the wall. And Carol accidentally rolls out of the cart. Maybe when the hijackers attack, a human gets tossed around and a shoulder or elbow, so it smashes into making the hole. All right, that would be devastating for Hank as well, because somebody made him that way. And Hank's so nice, he probably wouldn't look for revenge. Okay, so gets tossed around and a shoulder or elbow. You're saying a shoulder and an elbow gets. Hang on, let me read that sentence properly because I want to understand it properly. A human gets tossed around and a shoulder or elbow, so something smashes into making the hole. Hang on, I'm not 100% getting it. At first I read it as the human smashes into Hank, but I might be wrong. Feel free to clarify it if you'd like to, just so I understand. Okay, so I'll put into something for now, or something crashes into Hank. Something making a hole in him. There we go. I was trying to say part of a human hits Hank and that makes the hole. Oh right, so he gets like like beheaded or something really violent happens. Imagine if it was Rose. Like Rose, you know, we said she gets involved in the attack. Rose is pretty violent, right? She's a vampire. She could bite somebody's arm off. And the arm could like fall in tank and break him. So that would mean Rose did it. Rose did it. Oh no. Poor Hank. But that is one way to do it, because or we could just make it be one of the randoms that do it, but it could be cause for more drama if it was Rose. I guess it's like, what is the best way to do it, right? That's the question. A human body part falls on Hank, making a hole on him. If that's the case, we need to put that first, or that down there. Well, I think he means that the human falls over and his elbow just knocks the barrel over or something. All right, I'm slow. I'm always slow and don't get things. So I've got this wrong. Something falls on Hank, making on. I'm just going to leave it as that, guys, and I'm going to read this properly afterwards in a sec. I don't know. Now we don't need to put that down there. We'll keep everything where it is. Why is spelling so hard? I know the feels. But it could be, it would be very violent if we went for that. This game would not be PG-13 anymore. That would be for sure. I guess we know who the violent one is in this stream, me. If I'm coming up with these ideas. Right, so but I'm going to just put that read ideas on VOD, just so I remember that it was discussed. But I've kept really vague about it for now. But that, I'm just like, I guess it just depends how we picture the scene in the cart, because I imagine that humans couldn't get in the cart, because that's why the barrels feel safe talking together, because they're kind of confined in this space. But when Carol foot rolls out, obviously a door or something would open accidentally during the commotion. But there would have to be an effective way for Hank to get disabled during the whole thing, I'm sure. We'll sort it out. Don't know what limitations for animation are. That's a fact to keep in mind. Yeah, I always think, like, say what you think, as even if it's super detailed and you've got a detailed animation or idea in your head, don't be afraid to express that, because I always feel like we can always simplify things, you know. If things are hard and we get to the scene creation, we're like, actually this animation's going to be hard, we just simplify it, that's all. But I always think having the detailed idea is cool, because we can try and be ambitious then, and if it doesn't work, always simplify. That'll always work too. Okay, so we should probably update his description to say he became disabled during the cart hijack as well. But we can write that here, because we're writing notes down here. So Hank and because we haven't got to the hijacking part of the scene yet, I'm gonna leave it way over here. So do you think Alvira should say her line before Woody says his? What do you guys think? Probably best, isn't it? But if you disagree, feel free to say. Because if we're gonna, you know, egg Alvira on, it makes sense that Woody says it after Alvira's had a say, I guess. So that would mean they've all spoken except for Hank. But we did say that Hank could chime up and say something really insightful about, did we say he'd talk about the stars in the sky, but say the actual real reason? I'm going to refer to our notes again. The water looks like a 5 o'clock shadow, play it forward. Gavin says that was exactly what the plan was with that design. 100% what we were going for there. But yeah, we will have a dry Woody at first, I think. That will be something that happens during the game when he gets wet and develops that chin. Right, so... Hank scoops over and explains what the stars actually are, showing he's knowledgeable about the human world. Okay, so that conversation about the oil drum needs to end as well. Maybe Hank's the one to break it up, or would Carol be the one to break it up? I think Hank seems like a calm guy. Like he would stop. He would probably be the one to calm the quarrels down in the group. I mean, looking at them all, Hank's definitely that type before he's disabled anyway, and it will make us like him because I think, oh, he's a sweetheart, and then we'll feel even more sorry for him when he gets disabled. Okay, so Hank. So something like that. And by that point, Carol, Oliver, Meryl, Alvira, Woody and Hank will have all spoken, and we would have got introduced to the group quite quickly. So that's good. And then I guess at this point, move that still over here because we're not going to have the hijacking quite yet. We can have more banter. Just think how to flesh them out even more, find out about the rest of them. We've got this little bit about Alvira here that we can think about, and we can also think what can be said with the other characters. I'm going to catch up with chat because I obviously want to see what you think about this, guys. So for the menu way, see the characters I'm making it look like cards without info. Oh yeah, Drago, if you want to show us, pop it in the creative channel. Well, I sort of imagine it continues, but the focus shit. How you put a swear word. That's funny. You said that shits instead of shits. Well, I sort of imagine it continues, but oh my god, I'm gonna just laugh now for the rest of this stream. Away from Meryl, Woody and Alvira, and the focus is back on Oliver and Carol, and Hank slides over and distracts the boy from the argument. Okay, so I like that we can put the focus back to Oliver and Carol to make as we said earlier, they're definitely the key characters in this little group. So, okay. So just thinking how we can do this. I'm going to, before we think about that, I'm going to just make sure we've covered all the notes that I've got from the other streams, because I want to get them in before we end the stream today. So give me a couple of minutes, guys. We've got quite a bit to read. I don't want to miss anything out at all that might be interesting. There was so much discussion on the barrels in one stream before the Christmas holiday, and that's what I'm reading at the moment, all the notes from that. There was just so much. It's great. Yeah, and there's discussion about putting a logo on Woody too, which is cool as well. We can always do that later though, before episode 1's release. Once we get a bit more lore, because we don't want to just put some random logo on. It'd be nice to link it to an actual thing in the game. I brought Dishonor on myself. It's not done yet. Well, whenever it is, feel free. No pressure, of course, but if you wanted to. Okay, so I think I've put in all the main things looking at that. The rest was just discussion on what the barrels could look like, which obviously we've already done now. Oh gosh, I've got cramp in my foot. Ow, 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 ow. So I'm going to just note down what Zexy said about the focus shifting back to Oliver and Carol. And then Hank starts talking about the stars. So it's just thinking about how we can get that conversation to fly really nicely. That's the main thing. I think we've done a really good job with this bit. I'm going to put in brackets that because we're not sure that that's the way we're going to go about it yet. But then we'll have a bit more. I'd say we want it to be a little bit longer, the banter. We don't want to make the hijacking too early, happen a bit early. We want to get to know the characters a bit more. So that's why I've left a gap here for that. But then we will have the hijacking stuff happen. And once the hijacking happens, it's not going to be as dialogue heavy at that point, because it'll be mainly action and cutscene and animation stuff happening. Yeah, the most dialogue heavy bit is before the hijacking. But we've done a good job, team. I'm happy. I really like the start that we've got here for this scene. And I think the bit before the flashback that we've done here is really good. Even though it's not quite finished, we're 90% there, aren't we? I think it's pretty good. So I'm gonna have to be ending stream soon, who knows? But I'm gonna have to have my dinner first. So I might be away from the computer for an hour or so. But when I return, I'm gonna get this tidied up, put into the Discord, and you guys can have a peep at it and let us know if there's any good ideas you have. I'm definitely going to get this in before tomorrow's stream. I'm going to try and get it in definitely before I go to bed, obviously, but I can't, I'm not sure how long I'll be away from the computer, but it will be there before I go to sleep tonight in the Discord, in the dialogue channel. And tomorrow's stream will carry on with this. We will just add more to what we planned this conversation to be. Hopefully it'll be really cool if we can get everything decided, what's said before the hijacking, and all going well we can plan kind of how the scene of the hijacking will go, which we've already sort of done. We've already decided Hank's gonna get his disability at that point. Carol will fall off a car and Rose will make her appearance and attack the hijackers and then get taken prisoner, and Carol will be left behind. And the flashback will probably cut when we've noticed that Carol's left behind and she's alone. And that'll be, and then we'll return back to this scene and have a bit of a more dialogue, reactions from the hero, and etc., and a bit more talk from Carol about how she's feeling. And then they'll be free to walk again and fight enemies and head to the boss. So if we have a peep at our notes, I'm going to just update all this. So now we're in the process of doing cutscene A. So we're also in the process of doing cutscene B. But we're pretty close to completing cutscene A. So I say it's been productive, and I'm kind of expecting the rest of this week to be about this, about doing the flows for the scenes and dialogues. At least the first A, B and C anyway. I don't intend to work on D and E yet. I'm imagining we'll visit cutscene D and E and the fruit boss battle again once we've implemented A, B and C into RPG Maker and made those cutscenes. But I imagine the scene creation and implementation, we can start that next week, all going well if we're on target. I'd say next week we can dedicate to that, and then the week after that we can revisit the fruit stuff. That will be awesome. But for the rest of this week, let's get cutscene A, B and C all sorted. We're 90% there with cutscene A. We're getting there with cutscene B, and we got tomorrow's stream and Thursday's stream. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm surprised with how much progress we're on. We're really proud of you, Van. Thank you, Zexy. You've been a really good help, and I appreciate it tons. So thank you for your time and for your awesome ideas. We're going to have a really, really, really cool game. I think we've started very strongly with this episode. So thank you, guys. Okay, so I'm going to head off now. Give me a sec, guys. What is the time? I'm ending stream well after 6 lately. I'm a late one. I'm a late one, guys. So, right, I'm going to have to head off, I think, because I'm being called. So, I'm going to have to rush off. But you guys are fabulous. Thank you for being amazing. I was going to send us to somebody, but I'm going to have to rush. So I will see you all. You're all the best. And I'll see you tomorrow same time, and we'll carry on with what you're doing. You are all the best. Take care.